Hello and welcome to this video lecture on some ethnic and national conflict that we see in Europe post-World War II that somewhat falls outside of the Cold War period but still exists in the 80s, 90s, and at different parts of Europe throughout this last unit. So first, let's look at Ireland. We haven't looked at Ireland in a bit. Last time we checked in with Ireland was around the World War One period. Last time we spoke about them, they have had decades and decades of fighting since the Great Famine, the potato famine that ravaged Ireland, and the population of Irish people devastatingly. We then see after World War One, Ireland eventually get autonomy. They get some measure of independence from Great Britain, and they get control of most of the Isle of Ireland. However, Britain does regain control of 6 counties in Northern Ireland called the Ulster counties. Britain decided to hold on to them because they believed, and they weren't wrong, that lots of Protestant Irish people lived up there. Britain, being a Protestant country, wanted to protect the Protestants in Northern Ireland. Therefore, they held on to those 6 Ulster counties. Ireland is a heavily Catholic nation, except for those people living in Northern Ireland. But the people of Ireland wanted their whole country back, not just bits and pieces of it. So this does not end the violence. We see violence continue throughout the 20th century, not really being too devastating in the first half. World War One, World War Two, and other issues prevented wide scale violence between Ireland and Britain. However, we do see in the 1960s violence reemerge. The IRA, the Irish Republican Army, which began in World War One as paramilitary groups that eventually began the fighting that led to Irish autonomy from the British. They are reformed and they commit acts of violence against the British. And this causes a tit for tat of violence response by the British against the Irish, back and forth between the Irish and the British for decades until the 90s. One such big moment was Bloody Sunday, when in January 1972, British soldiers shot and killed 13 demonstrators who were peacefully protesting against anti-Catholic discrimination in Northern Ireland. And again, we see acts of violence committed by both sides, acts of terrorism committed by both sides, with different nations supporting both sides. Irish people in America supported Ireland in the IRA, and sometimes the American government would support the British government. So you see different people supporting different groups. This leads to the deaths of over 2,000 people, and this is also known as the Troubles. This pattern of violence and death that occurs over the next couple of decades. We even see a close, high-ranking member of the British royal family, Lord Mountbatten, one of the leaders of the disastrous partition of India and Pakistan. He was assassinated by the IRA. He was a mentor to the current King of England, King Charles III. So that death is shown in the Netflix TV series The Crown. And it really did have an impact on King Charles. However, the conflict does eventually come to an end with the 1998 Good Friday Agreement signed between Ireland and Britain, leading to a relatively peaceful coexistence between the two nations since. Going to Spain. Spain, again, through most of the 20th century, was unstable or ruled by a dictator, or involved in some sort of civil conflict. Again, Francisco Franco ruled Spain until 1975. During his rule, we see a group of people wanting independence. They started out as a peaceful organization, but they eventually turned to violence as well. They're known as the ETA, and in the Basque language, that translates to the Basque Homeland and Freedom Movement. And they used bombings and assassinations after peace did not work to gain some independence. We do see a variety of independence movements pop up in Spain, but this one is one of the earliest ones we see in the 20th century. They do get some autonomy, but it wasn't enough, and we actually see them continue in some form until 2018 when they're officially disbanded. Spain is host to a variety of ethnic and national movements still. With different groups, different people in Spain wanting freedom from the Spanish government. Going to other parts of Europe, we do see right-wing extremism happen. This is the IRA and the Basque movement. They were, leftist movements, particularly for the most part. They're anti-imperial, but they're not. They weren't aligned with the Soviet Union or communism or anything out front. But we do see some very conservative, almost fascist movements emerge in Europe throughout the second half of the 20th century as well. Some examples are listed on your screen: the National Front in France, the AfD in Germany, the Northern League or Brothers of Italy in Italy. And we see these people, these groups, more or less align with ideas that I'm sorry, not Stalin, with Hitler and Mussolini. For example, the woman that Joe Biden is embracing there, she is the current PM of Italy, and she downplayed and forgave a lot of Mussolini's actions prior to her election. She is in the forgiving mood and saying Mussolini was not a bad guy. The AfD in Germany, who is growing and growing in power in that nation, also is began to downplay some of the actions of the Nazi Party as well. Moving on to Eastern Europe, again after the fall of the Cold War, we see the Soviet Union dissolve, and we see these independent Eastern European nations rise up. However, throughout the 90s and throughout some of the early 2000s, a lot of these nations, were still more or less controlled by the Russian government, especially when Putin kind of gained control. We do see some revolutions break out, though, against Russian dominance, Russian control. Some nations, such as Belarus, are still heavily tied with the Russian government, but some, such as Georgia and Ukraine, did eventually break free. For example, Georgia held the Rose Revolution in 2003. That brought in a pro-Western, pro-NATO leader that was, against Russia and against its former Soviet boss. Ukraine did something similar with its Orange Revolution in 2004 through 2005. Again, distancing itself from its former colonizer. These color revolutions were more or less successful, at least challenging Russian power and kind of pushing these nations away from a dominant Russia and challenged again the power of the former Soviet Union. Russia has, however, since then, I'm sure as you're aware if you've watched the news, they have attempted and been successful in many cases at reasserting their power over these neighbors. They've invaded Chechnya, a tiny Muslim nation, since it declared independence in 1991. It stopped in 2009, but we see these two kind of going back and forth with fighting occurring and acts of terrorism and violence enacted against both partners since then. Russia invaded Georgia, again, another small nation, in 2008, proclaiming to protect the people of southern Ossetia, to give them independence and support. And to this day, South Ossetia is still more or less independent from Georgia. And Georgia is having to kind of play by Russia's rules, even though they're not the biggest fans of Russia. And then, of course, Ukraine. Ukraine, again, has a long history of being dominated and oppressed by Russia, by the Soviet Union, etc. It's been a big topic in this class since at least the Crimean War. But in 2014, we see, again, a pro-Russian government defeated again in Ukraine. In a response, around the same time, we see Russia invade Crimea and take the island, the influential and important island of Crimea from Ukraine. Then, 8 years later, in recent history, we see Russia invade and take big portions of eastern Ukraine. That war is still going on, and it's cost hundreds of thousands of lives. It's been a very devastating war, with both sides really not looking to fight anymore, not really wanting to fight anymore. So if the war does come to an end soon, it looks like that those lands that Russia currently owns will be taken by Russia. So those eastern Ukrainian lands will be annexed by Russia, it looks like. Who knows, though? The war is still being decided. And then last but not least, if we go back to the 90s, we're going to look at civil war in Yugoslavia. Again, as I've said in previous lectures, Yugoslavia was a relatively independent communist state during the Cold War. Again, they had a strong communist party during World War II, and they were led by a popular leader, Joseph Tito. Marshal Tito, however, died in 1980. And after his death, they don't really find a strong leader to replace him. And this leads to religious differences, ethnic differences, and other conflicts that pop up in the 80s, and especially conflicts that accelerate as the Cold War ends. In the 90s, we see a man, Slobodan Milosevic, pictured here, kind of rise up in the Serbian part of Yugoslavia. If you look at this map over here, this green part is what makes up a lot of Yugoslavia. So, in the Serbian part of Yugoslavia, Slobodan Milosevic comes to power as a communist bureaucrat, and he wants to proclaim Serbian dominance in the region. Again, Serbs, very, very nationalistic people, as we saw since 1914 when they helped start World War I. We see Serbia kind of proclaim themselves as more important than the rest of their ethnic neighbors in Yugoslavia, particularly over their Bosnian neighbors against their Albanian friends in Kosovo, and their different neighbors in Croatia and Slovenia. In 1990, we see Milosevic call for a unification of all Serbs into Greater Serbia, hopefully thinking maybe he can turn what was once Yugoslavia into a Serbian nation, in which the Serbians kind of ruled over their neighbors, kind of like how the Austrians ruled over the different ethnicities in their Austrian Empire, which we know did not work out. So I'm not sure why Milosevic, tried it here. When we see this proclamation in Yugoslavia, we see people freak out, and rightfully so. We see the relatively wealthy areas of Slovenia and Croatia revolt. That is met with an invasion by Serbia. So Serbia then invades Croatia and Slovenia, keeping them under control and conquering a decent amount of territory, at least from Croatia. We then see Bosnia want to break free from this partnership and want to break free, rightfully ending Yugoslavia. Serbs react both within Bosnia and throughout the area. The Serbs in Bosnia don't want to live under the Muslim leadership that was present in Bosnia, Serbs being Christian and some Bosnians being Muslim. This leads to the nation of Yugoslavia's army invading Bosnia and begin a process of ethnic cleansing. This freaked a ton of people in Europe out. We see a little Hitler, as Slobodan Milosevic was called by the West, doing another process of ethnic cleansing. And this frightens Europe, Western Europe, to a great extent that we actually see them come in and act. So as we see the Yugoslavian army go in, and again led by a Serbian, Slobodan Milosevic, they go into these territories and they murder, rape, and destroy non-Serbians, particularly Bosnian Muslims, causing, again, massive amounts of deaths and ethnic cleansing. We see upwards of 300,000 deaths, with millions forced to flee for their lives. Again, the Western world was terrified by this, especially the massacre at Srebrenica, which was a UN safe zone that housed many Muslims. The Serbian army infiltrated and invaded Srebrenica, and again committed a massive killing against Muslim men and boys. With this event, we see America get involved. America did not act during the Rwandan genocide, which occurred in the tiny nation of Rwanda, with the Hutu committing grave acts against the Tutsi minority. So eager to not commit a different mistake here, we see NATO, led by America, bomb different Serbian military targets, trying to limit the power of the Serbian army and the Yugoslavian army. The Croatian army does help with this process as well. We do see Bill Clinton step in with Tony Blair, the Prime Minister of Britain. They step in and assist with this action, giving Bosnian Serbs about 49% of Bosnia, and Bosnian Roman Catholics, Bosniaks and Bosnian Roman Catholics the rest of Serbia, so giving them a majority control, with NATO peacekeeper troops left in Bosnia to kind of keep the peace. And fun fact for us, being an hour away, this peace accord was signed in Dayton, Ohio, and it's known as the Dayton Accords. However, that does not end. This war goes on until 2001 for the most part, when Slobodan Milosevic refuses to withdraw from Kosovo, which again is down here within Serbia. There were many people that wanted Kosovo to be independent because there's a large Muslim Albanian population there, which again, Slobodan Milosevic was not a fan of Muslims, so him inhabiting this area could lead to another genocide. We see warnings sent to him that you need to withdraw from Kosovo. Slobodan refuses. So then we see NATO bomb Serbia and Serbia's army again. This forced Slobodan to withdraw, even though he did draw out 865,000 Albanians from this area. And we do see this kind of be the final nail in Slobodan's coffin. This causes Slobodan to be voted out of office, and a pro-Western, pro-NATO Serbian government is installed after this. He is then arrested, turned over to the Hague, the International Court for Criminal Activity. He is turned over there to the Netherlands, but he dies before a sentence can be carried out. We do see many of his leaders and allies and friends tried for war crimes, with a general actually, this has just happened a few years ago, a general actually taking a cyanide tablet during his sentencing, and he actually commits suicide while he's being sentenced to death, I believe, for his war crimes and acts of atrocities. The court trials, you can find it on YouTube, I believe. There was many news articles about it a few years ago. Finally, in 2008, we do see Kosovo declare independence. One last treat, I do want to show you a video. The people of Kosovo and the surrounding areas were so thankful for America and British intervention that you do see very popular names in the region. Tony Blair and Clinton are very popular names in Kosovo and the surrounding areas. The people that were attacked by the Serbs, they showed gratitude by naming their kids after the president and prime minister of Britain and America. And I do want to play this music video for you that again shows the gratitude of the people of Kosovo. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, USA, you are my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. Thank you, USA, you are my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. Stopping genocide, helping small Kosovo, stopping their own fight. In 1999, helping in Kosovo, two men shaking hands, Clinton and Rugova. Thank you, USA, you are my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. Thank you, USA, you are my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. Work that we do, the way we thank you, this song that we sing, memories will bring. In so many countries, you are keeping peace. You are the lifesaver, you are pain release. Thank you, USA, you are my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. Thank you, USA, my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. Thank you, USA, you are my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. Thank you, USA, you are my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. Thank you, USA, you are my best friend. You are the peacekeeper, you are the legend.